All right, everyone, welcome back to episode, I believe this is 24 of the Insurance Toolkits podcast. And this week we have Don Fransko with the Assurance Group on with us. Don, sorry about that. Don has worked with us for at EFIS, actually. It was about 4 or 5 years ago now. And Don now has a corporate position with TAG, and I'll let him introduce.
I don't.
No,
I don't
you
have
don't.
a corporation.
Right.
No.
That's different now. If you can introduce yourself, I'll stop there.
Okay. Sure. Okay. So I worked with Chris and Joe a long time ago. I've known Chris since before he was in the insurance industry. And when I came to the Assurance Group, I did it a corporate position, and then they sort of got rid of that. Didn't fire me. They said, we want to keep you, but so they put me kind of in charge of the New Jersey PA team here, and it's been going very well. And it's the same old. It's like, they basically asked me to get on a bike that I've been riding for a long time, so it wasn't too bad.
You do remember how to close a client, it sounds like.
Like I said, it's riding a bike, it's jumping on that bicycle. So yeah, I remember.
Perfect. So that was supposed to be a perfect transition statement. It's supposed to be funny, but it wasn't. I'm not here for the humor of it. But we wanted to talk today about some real agent in the field kind of stuff. We've had some big builders, some big industry millionaires, the fancy stuff. But I want to get in the field, and that's why we had you on today. Because no better person to talk the field than to talk to the person who taught me how to sell. So let's start with some easy stuff. A lot of agents struggle, and I think they're struggling because they get into the friend zone. They hear rapport, they hear, getting rapport with a person, but then they talk about everything but selling. So can you talk to those watching today about the balance between warming up rapport, and then before you know it, you've got a girlfriend and not a client?
It's very true. The friend zone is a real thing. And when you're with these people, it's all about, they need to know that you actually care about them. And for me, once I get to that point where I realize, because first of all, let me kind of just jump back. There's no acting that can go. I feel like people that aren't really invested in their people aren't going to get away with it for long. I mean, I actually, for whatever reason, and maybe I'm compassionate, maybe I get that from my mom, I actually do care about the people that I'm with, and I really do want what we do to be in their best interests. And I generally care about them for a little while, but it can only go on for so long. And once I realize that they know that I'm interested in them, that I'm out for their best interests, I generally click that warm up off and go right into work. All right, listen, I can sit here and chat with you all day, but let me get to why I'm here. We can talk another day about, the rest of your life, but let me get to why I'm here. So I do think there is some validity to not going too long on that warm up, because, he's my friend now, he'll understand that I'm not buying. He's my friend. So.
Makes sense. I think some agents too, they struggle because they don't see enough people. If you spend too much time with one person, how are you going to see 15 over the course of a 4 or 5 or 6 day work week? So how long should the normal presentation take?
I love this question because so many times new agents, we'll get on the phone with them and, 0 for 1 yesterday. Well, how many people did you see? Well, I was in the house for 4.5 hours. She was just chatty Cathy, and I was just going with it because, we got to warm up. We got to let them know. Oh my gosh, somewhere we missed the memo. Yeah, if I can be in and out of a house in an hour, I personally think that's a good time, because 10, 15 minutes to kind of get to know them and to go over a presentation, which I think we're going to talk a little bit about that. The presentation shouldn't be long. This is more, I'm kind of here to hear kind of a person. I have a little book to guide me, but I'm guilty of never even pulling that book out of my bag, because I'm just making that connection face to face. I think the book and the presentation binder for the companies that use something like that is helpful to new agents to keep them on task, and a presentation is something that it's like laying groundwork before you get to the nuts and bolts and the way we can really help them, kind of like telling the story and kind of like the setup.
Joe, you did plenty of presentations, Medicare, final expense, everything in between. Do you find a consensus amount of time an agent should try to spend in the home?
My goal is always 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes. I like to be quicker. To me, there's just not much value in sticking around longer than you need to, because if I can save 20 minutes on an appointment, maybe I miss one that you close, but I'll be able to get into 10 more houses that week. And I think that's more valuable. So to me, it was always about speed, especially considering I focused on Medicare, which is like, if I'm putting you in the best spot, it doesn't matter if someone comes behind me because they can't compliantly replace what I'm doing. So.
Very true. I've also learned, for those that are trying to plan out your entire day, schedule your appointments hourly. Even if you're early, even if you're late, half the freaking people won't be there anyway. But the more people you stuff onto your calendar, the more opportunities you're going to have. And I've proven that point rural. I've proven that point urban. Just set it every hour. It becomes more routine to you as well. If you're having to guess every 90 minutes, if you see on your calendar, it says leave at that 30-minute mark, you're going to keep that appointment moving. So you talked about a presentation binder. I think some agents don't close enough business because they confuse their clients. Like, the people we sit in front of are pretty simple-minded in a nice way. And if you confuse them, they're not going to buy from you. So can you talk about using some visual aids, but not too many?
Yes. Like I was saying a minute ago, my presentation binder is just 3 or 4 pages. It's very quick. It's just something to kind of keep them on task, to let us know, hey, this is who we are. This is who I am. This is what we help people do. And now let me get to how I can help you. It's very simple. The presentation, I feel like, is kind of like the setup. So I was telling our team last week, sometimes, my wife, actually, Chris knows my wife. Chris and my wife, Katie, are first cousins, known each other since they were born, pretty much, right? Who's older, you or Katie? I don't know.
I think she's got me by like 6 weeks.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys literally grew up together and you know each other. So you know her very well. So we have, like, you see, I'm a musician. This is my vinyl records, my guitars, and this is kind of like my little sanctuary. My wife's sanctuary away from me is her Netflix shows. She's got all these Netflix shows that she watches without me, and I'm cool with that. But sometimes I'll go into the bedroom and she's just bawling and crying. And I'm just thinking, I'm looking at the TV and like, this isn't sad. There's nothing to cry about here. But what I missed was the setup. I missed everything that happened up to that point that made this situation make her cry. And it's like telling a joke. It's like, if I just tell you to get to the other side, what the heck is he talking about? But then if I give you the whole setup about the chicken crossing the road, oh, okay, now I get it. So I think the presentation is important in the very same way, where you're kind of telling the story before you get to the climax of the story. And basically, like, here I am, I work with this company. We're reputable. I have a license with the state of New Jersey or Pennsylvania or Maryland, wherever you are. And we help people in these situations all the time. This is what we find when we're out here. We talk about term life, whole life, final expense presentation here I'm talking about. And then I get right to it. Like, well, what do you have? Who do you have for your insurance? And I love asking that question because it's like, it takes away that objection. Well, I already have insurance. I know. That's why I ask you, who do you have? I know you do. Everybody does. And so who do you have?
Joe, when it comes to rapport building in the presentation and visual, we talked about that already. Did you ever use any kind of visual aids? Because I know Toolkits designed to show a 3-option close and walk an agent through the presentation. So what degree of visuals did you use, if any?
I used Fex quotes for life, and then for Medicare, I used the carrier materials, which were always free. So we just ordered them on the portal. But for life, I really didn't use any real visual aid unless I needed to show them that the rate I was showing was competitive.
Yeah. I remember a guy that we used to work with, Don, pulled out this flip chart that would explain term, and then it would explain UL, and it would explain whole life, and he didn't explain anything. Even I was confused looking at it. And I told him to take that and throw it out and never use it again. But that didn't get him very far. He also didn't know how to pronounce Plavix. I think you can guess who that was.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about anyone can close a low-hanging fruit. Anybody can take 50 leads and stumble into somebody who knows they're going to die and sell a competitive product. That's not hard. But agents get to the next level by closing replacements. And many agents can't achieve the next level because they can't do a replacement. So can you give some tips to replacing?
Sure. Well, first thing is never say that word, replacement. Obviously, we say it here because it is a legal term and it is what it is. But I don't use that word in a home. It's just sort of like, hey, man, we like to use upgrade or show you the new plans. And then Just this morning on the call, I was talking about, I had a pretty big replacement sale yesterday, and I didn't use the word replacement at all, ever. I didn't say, oh, I think I can save you money, ever. Oh, we can do better than what you have. Never say any of that. I said, well, let me take a look what you have. And then I'll show you if there's anything we can do. I'll let you know. I don't give them the goods or give them any inkling that something good is going to happen until I show them the numbers. Like, this is what you have now. These are your options. Like, kind of like that, the blind Pepsi challenge, the blind taste test close that I learned that from you. Mm-hmm. And it's very similar in that situation, but yeah, we don't use the word replacement, but you know, back to the first question you asked, when it comes to these replacements, I think a lot of people get too maybe quick, or they get too excited. And whenever I see a possible replacement on the table, the first thing I do is I slow down, I relax, I stay calm and collected, and it's all about the job now. It's all about business. We already did the warm up. We already got the fun and games out of the way. Now we are to the business. We are actually, this is what I can do for you. Which one of these works best for you? It's that type of scenario.
Yeah, I think a lot of agents make the replacement confrontational. They try to make it about mine is better than yours. This company is cooler than yours. It's just a numbers game. Is this one a better benefit than that one? You take all the fluff out of it and show them the numbers, and they're going to pick the number that's best for them. And again, keeping it simple. The more complicated you make the replacement, the less likely they are to purchase it. Because if they can't understand it, they're not going to commit to it. Overall, after they've bought, there's warming down and there's closing, because if you can't keep the business on the books, you're not going to stay in the business. So can you talk to those watching about the end of the presentation?
The end of the presentation, or
like the warm down and the close. So before you leave, how do you leave them feeling?
Sure. Well, first thing I do is I remind them what we did, and I kind of show them and almost have a conversation with them. Like, let's go over what we did today and why we did what we did today. I think that's important. Some clients, you don't have to do that. They understand. Others you do. I mean, you know, when we do a replacement sale, one of the common practices is to help that client to stop bank drafts from their old company. Because if they get double drafted from their old company and the new company, they're not mad at either one of the insurance companies. They're mad at you. Yeah, they're mad at me. So I let them know, hey, you're going to get a bill. And I also, sometimes I say this, by the way, you're going to forget that I told you you're going to get a bill, and you're going to call me angry. And I'm going to remind you, remember when I told you that you were going to get angry and call me that you got a bill? So one of the things I always tell people, especially in a replacement, if you get a bill, don't be concerned. It's a normal thing. It's not because they're coming after you. It's just a computer that's doing its automated job. But I just think going over it and really reiterating what happened and why it happened is important, not just for stickiness of the policy. And I also write it down. You know, don't leave it up to their memory. Write it down on a brochure, or write it down on your business card, or leave some sort of, I do the magnets now. I never did the magnets in my life, but I do that now just because it's easy. And it's like, why is it, this is totally off topic, but why did people get so excited about putting a magnet on their fridge? You know, Mrs. Thomas, you have 5,000 magnets on your fridge. Why is this one like doing this for you right now? But magnets are the key. It's
true. I've been in plenty of homes where Joe has already marked his territory with magnets. And unfortunately, they don't have that Medicare plan anymore. But he used to put it in the fridge. And I'm waiting for the day that I go to a home and I'm on the fridge, but it wasn't my client. Somebody new's moved into this home. But it's just marking your territory. And Don, you called me a few minutes before we did this video to ask what we're talking about. What was I doing? I was stuffing brochures and folders.
Right.
Because 7 years in the business, I still get off on brochures, marketing material, and giving it to the client. Like, you're selling an intangible purchase. They need something tangible to prove that such an event has happened.
Yes. You know, it's a perfect example. I wrote a policy for a guy about last week, and he hadn't gotten his policy yet in the mail. And he called me up, and he's like, and we had a great rapport, and, you know, he trusted me, but he's like, hey, I'm very concerned. They took my money out and I don't have anything to show for this. I don't have a policy. So I called the company. They mailed it a week ago, and he still doesn't have it for whatever reason. But I assured him, listen, you don't have this by Friday, call me. I'll have them overnight something. But yeah, you definitely have to be on top of that.
Yeah. bonus question for you. Selling humor versus selling serious. Some people sell through humor. Some people sell through being serious. We used to call that the Jamie Foxx versus Morgan Freeman philosophy. And I learned if you aren't being authentically yourself, you're also going to be a bad salesperson. So talk to us about that.
You have to be you. I think you hit it on the head there. People that try to be me or people that try to copy other people in a home, it just comes off fake, comes off phony, doesn't work. I can't do it the way Joe does it or the way you do it. And because it would look weird, I feel like me trying to do that. And, you know, what was the thing you asked first about? I'm sorry, I'm getting scatterbrained.
That's okay. Humor versus
humor. That's right. It's, you know, what's weird. I think somebody told me one time, he's like, I want you to do a training on selling through humor because you sell through humor, Don, because, you know, I'm a jokester. I like to have fun and that's me. But when I'm in a home, it's not really the case. If I'm with somebody who's having fun and is kind of jovial, yeah, I'll fly with that. And I'll maybe make some jokes and we'll have some fun. But when we get down to the nitty gritty and we're ready to talk business, there is nothing funny at all. It's very serious. This is what we can do for you. And then maybe once we make a deal, once we have a sale, then maybe we can get back to joking around. But I kind of, I learned a long time, you kind of have to mirror who you're with. Mm-hmm. If you're with, for instance, I was sitting with a lady yesterday. It was a door knock. She had no idea it was coming. She had her hair like up in a big thing and she wouldn't even do eye contact. She was looking at me like this. She's like, I just hate people seeing me like this. That's not somebody I can say, hey, why did the chicken cross the road, Mrs. Jones? It just ain't gonna work. So I just sort of like, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I don't care about that. I'm here to help you. And she still chased me out of her house. But yeah, you kind of have to mirror who you're with.
Absolutely. I enjoy going to conventions with Joe for Toolkit because I'll be the guy waving people over to the table and he'll be the one that wants to show them the most nuanced particular part of the product that people really benefit from. But it's that combination of selling through humor and selling through logic that blends that combination well on the middle of a convention floor in Vegas. When half the people there are selling leads, boy, that's a weird situation. Medicarians, though, Joe, had good food, right?
It did.
So what would you say to an agent? I love to ask this question and get 25 different answers to it on our channel. To an agent who's listening to this, but they're considering quitting. They're like, this just isn't for me. I'm not good at it. I don't want to do it. They're like on their last legs of the business. They put in a few job applications. What do you say to somebody like that?
What are your options? And what are your options? What do you want to do? I think that it's fair to say, do you not like this? Is this job not for you? I can't tell you countless ride-alongs I've done where I've made thousands of dollars in a day. And the people that are doing the ride-along, now that's not for me. But yet, I think that the mental aspect of this business is by far the hardest. It's not hard to jump in and out of your car. It's not hard to get leads. I mean, sure, leads can be costly. So I guess you could talk about that. But leads are there. The job is what it is. It hasn't changed. This job has not really changed except for electronic and technology. It's the same thing as it was from the first time my knuckles hit a door. It's very much the same. And I think that if somebody gets into a house, especially through a door knock, and that's what I'll remind them. So you have done something that others can't do. If you've knocked on a door and you get into the home and you make a sale, you can do this business. You just have to choose to do it or not. And the belief level is very big. You know, I've been talking to our team lately about Santa Claus and people like my kids. Well, my daughter is kind of getting wise now, but kids believe in Santa Claus. And I think that our beliefs actually manifest what happens. Think about this. The kids believe in Santa Claus. They go to bed Christmas Eve and they believe in their heart Santa is coming to deliver presents. Well, what happens when they wake up and walk down the stairs? Santa's delivered the presents. Right? Even though we know it was, somebody else that put those presents there. Well, if kids are watching, it was Santa. Just I already got in trouble because one of my guys said, I was on speakerphone. My son's asking me if there's really a Santa Claus. Like, oh, whoops. But yeah, it's just, I think people's belief level, if they don't believe they can do it, then they've lost right there. But that's what I would say to somebody. I would say, listen, you've done this, you can do it. What are your challenges? What don't you like about it? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Let's see if we can make those weaknesses into strengths and keep going. But some people you can't save, but it is a good feeling when you have somebody that's on the verge of leaving the job or quitting the business, and you're able to talk them through that, which reminds me of a joke, personal inside joke of us about a guy standing on top of the Ben Franklin Bridge, ready to plummet to his demise. But he stays with it, and now he's a mega star in the final expense world.
For the record, I never stood on any kind of a bridge, but I've called plenty of times in strange apartment complexes complaining. And here's what he would say, and I encourage builders to steal this phrase. I'm going to give you about 60 seconds to complain about this, and then I never want to hear about it again. And I'm fairly certain you would wave your finger while telling me that on the phone, because at 60 seconds, you wouldn't want to hear about why she didn't let me in the door. But it's that level of persistence that gets people from one appointment to the next. One other question. I think a lot of times too, agents get wrapped up in thinking it's all about where I'm at, not what I'm doing. People think this isn't the right IMO, this isn't the right agency, this isn't the right carriers, the right comm structure. And I think all that stuff is actually pretty secondary to what you're doing. Yep. So talk to about the idea of it's not where you're working, but it's what you're doing with your business.
Yep. Well, I've for years, anybody that gets in this industry, you're going to be recruited by other IMOs. That's normal. And guess what? Every IMO is going to tell you, you need to come here because it's better than where you are. And at the end of the day, I've been around a little bit, and I know people at just about every IMO, the big ones anyway. I know people that are wildly successful. But why? It's not because of the IMO. And that may hurt IMO's feelings. It's not because of the IMO. It's because they took the platform and they ran with it, and they did something that they were supposed to do. They did the proper activity. There are wildly successful people at IFG. I know there are wildly successful people at TAG. There are wildly successful people, at North American. They're everywhere. So is one IMO better than the other? It's like Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, McDonald's. You got to find the one you like and then eat as much as you can and go every day.
I always use the philosophy too that you're running your own franchise location of one of these fast food restaurants. You might work at Chick-fil-A, you might be running a Burger King, I might be doing a McDonald's. But if you try to run the opposite of what that franchise model is, it isn't going to work. So recognize too that oftentimes your success or failure has nothing to do with what's up here in the hierarchy, it's what you're doing in the field. Joe, Toolkit works with thousands and thousands of agents, thousands of agencies, but they're all successful because they're all working that model as well. Have you seen any consistencies between different successful businesses that might be interesting to share?
I think a lot of them will have people in the business that care about it. I think a lot of our employees care about the product and the customer service that we provide. I think it's the same thing with life. If you don't have a team that cares about the business, you're going to get, agents who are writing bad business, maybe recruiting people they shouldn't, and things can go poorly. But I think that's what it came down to for us, is that we care about what we're doing and we want to improve it so it results in a good product and a good experience.
Absolutely. You even say that in the sale, like people were more worried about if you care about them than the commission you make off of them. Did I kind of get that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of that Toolkit, let's talk about Toolkit for a minute. I remember a long time ago, actually it was maybe the last time I saw Joe until recently. It was in Rhode Island there. Joe, you were on your laptop and you were talking about working on this thing. And I was like, oh yeah, well, that kind of already exists, is what I'm thinking in my brain. It already exists, but you know what? Hey, maybe you can make it better. And dang it, if you didn't, it's you guys have really done something special. And I hear people. I was talking to can't remember who it was. I was talking to somebody at just some other IMO, which is randomly, and I said, "Hey, do you do the Toolkit?" "Oh yeah, I do the Toolkit. That thing's awesome." So it was just like I was trying to make a sale for you guys, and unfortunately, it was already sold. However, I'm still owed a polo shirt, and I don't want a T-shirt. I want a polo.
You have to order more. I think well, actually, I have a few extra, I think.
Okay, size large. Well, what brand is it? because I sometimes I can squeeze into a medium.
Or like the Nike, the same one you're wearing, the Nike Dry Fit.
Large, yep.
Large.
I made the point to the team when we were in Alabama that we should have a merch store. Is that a crazy idea, or would people actually buy merch?
Yes, buy merch. And I just want, just send me like a gift card and I'll buy as much as you allow me on that gift card.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. So we got a few minutes left. Just promote yourself. Let folks know that are watching. Maybe they really connected with you and really want to work with wherever you're at today. So take a minute and promote yourself to those watching.
Promote me?
Yes, you.
Oh, I'm horrible at that. I'm never a me person, but if I was to promote myself how? Like to try to get somebody to buy something from me? What am I promoting?
They said, I want to work with that dude. Like he knows what he's talking about and my upline blows. Maybe I want to give this guy a chance. So that's the promotional moment we give people.
You know, I hate that I have to be the professional one on this call because, you know, I have to just keep it toned. But you know what? If you are, you know, the Assurance Group has a lot of really good things. There are pros and cons of every single dang IMO there is. I don't care. Like I said earlier, there's not one that is overwhelmingly better than the others. Sometimes it's just you have to find the one that's better for you. Some of the key points of the Assurance Group is, you know, we have any agent can really be a W-2 agent. And some people say, well, I don't want to be W-2. Well, W-2 is actually important to some people because I remember recruiting on the 1099 side. So are there benefits? You know, is there 401k? You know, is there any sort of, you know, short-term disability, long-term disability, health, vision, dental? You know, do you offer any sort of equity ownership? And, you know, most 1099 companies, there's not. But that is one thing about the Assurance Group that's pretty cool is that, you know, an agent can come over and just within 3 months qualify for a W-2 opportunity. And for me, we were talking about taxes earlier, Chris. You know, I was very successful, as you know, you too. I mean, the IRS is no joke. You know, they want their money, don't they? So when you make a lot of money and you don't understand this 1099, it's like a lot of agents find themselves in tax trouble. And you know what? IMOs never train on that. But the nice thing about W-2, which I'm thanking God now, is I don't have to worry about that again. Is that they take my money out and, you know, I still have some 1099 trail money that I can kind of have some fun with. But leads are a big deal. And I know that some agencies are having a hard time getting leads now. Leads are getting very expensive. The Assurance Group, you know, we have leads. We have plenty of leads. The owner of our company purchased a lead company 20 some years ago, and we send out millions of pieces of mail every single week, and we don't charge our agents not a dime. I pulled the last 3 weeks, I've pulled maybe on average 80 leads a week, and I didn't have to spend 1 penny to get those leads. And of course, you know, there are some trade-offs for that, but massive activity is the key to success. And like you said, no matter what IMO you're at, the one thing that the agents at the Assurance Group cannot say is that they don't have people to see. There are plenty of people to see. You just got to go and, you know, get that line in the water and do your best, you know, jigging to catch the fish.
Don't ever ask me to fish again. The only time I tried, I caught myself. Again, that is not the skill I was ever taught.
And I'm also never asking you to go axe throwing. Remember that thing, axe throwing? Joe, he could not get the thing to stick. And so instead of just giving up, I mean, maybe this is good for Chris. Instead of giving up, he like went to his private little booth in the corner and he must have thrown 150 axes. And he was just getting so frustrated. I was like, what is going on with that kid over there? But we have a lot of fun stories I'm sure we could get into. But anyway, I would love to work with you. If you're in the New Jersey, PA area, especially, you can work with me directly. If you're somewhere else and you're looking for somewhere, I'm not trying to pull you from where you are, but if you want to go somewhere and you want to at least have a conversation, I could direct you to one of our regional sales directors in your area. So thanks for that opportunity.
Well said. And again, thanks for watching. Thanks for being on with us today. And as they would say on YouTube, make sure that you like the video, comment below and subscribe. Otherwise, nobody will see the fun we've had today. So like, comment, and subscribe. We'd appreciate it. Thanks for being on today.
All right. Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks, Joe. Love Toolkit. Really do. Looking forward to that shirt.